We have heard whisperings about this for a while, but it seems like Zoom has something really revolutionary up their sleeve. Welcome again to the Founder Built podcast, another great episode with Max and myself. Today we want to cover Zoom's custom AI avatar tool that there's going to be some risks that are coming with this. It's going to be interesting. Personally, I'm excited. Some people are concerned about it. This is coming next year. We're going to break down everything happening in the podcast today. So kicking it over to you, Max, what have you seen on this? And I guess, what's your take on what Zoom's doing?
I've been saying this for probably about the past year and a half or 2 years, but not only is this obviously huge news, especially for the world of AI, but I also think that it brings a little minor point as well. I've been saying for, again, a year and a half, 2 years, that the time is going to come when these old or blue chip companies, I like to call them, people like Zoom or Gmail or Google or HubSpot, etc., that as soon as they start implementing AI, it's going to start cutting down other companies, other smaller companies in the world of AI. And so just to fill everyone in, Zoom came out with a statement, not the official release yet, but a statement that within the next year, sometime within the before the end of the next year, that they will deploy essentially these AI animated photorealistic avatars. And you can, similarly to platforms such as HeyGen and Synthesia as well, but you can simply record yourself speaking, and then from then your AI avatar can, for instance, take Zoom meetings for you, answer emails, and take phone calls is what the CEO has kind of the broader vision of. But yeah, there's so many different kind of subtopics that we can talk about this. Do you have anything that you're gung-ho about or that maybe scares you a little bit, Jaden?
Oh, I mean, I think the craziest thing about this, right? So I'm looking at the demo, and if you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, you could see, but otherwise we'll explain. I'm looking at like some of their demos. Yeah, you essentially are creating an AI, what they're calling an AI companion. They have a mock-up of a Zoom custom avatar feature that is in the likeness of their CEO, Eric Yuan. And it's essentially you're creating these AIs that can speak in Zoom meetings for you. They can answer emails. They can take phone calls. It seems like it gets beyond just like what Zoom does. I mean, it's getting into your emails, your phone calls. Like, can you imagine you're creating this likeness of yourself? I'm curious how much training goes into it, because when you're using a tool like HeyGen, for example, you can very easily go and create essentially like an avatar of yourself, but you only are uploading like 2 to 3 minutes of video, and all it's doing is copying your tone and style of voice. It's not necessarily like becoming your actual spokesperson the way that Zoom is wanting to do, because Zoom is saying like this thing's going to answer your emails and phone calls. And if it's answering your emails and phone calls, I'm like, how much data and what data do you actually have to give it? Because something like HeyGen, yeah, it's cool, it can clone you, but it's just talking like you. It doesn't know what to say, and it doesn't know how to say, and you know what I mean? So like there's that whole element that it seems like Zoom is getting into, where it's so much further beyond just like cloning yourself to make a talking head video in like a Zoom call. It's actually like answering. So like, where's its knowledge base based out of? Like, how does it know everything that you're saying? Anyways, that's the thing that's so fascinating to me. This is like a digital clone, whereas HeyGen is like, the capability to talk like you if you give it the right script.
So in terms of the knowledge base, I do have to give a little precursor. I think it was about 6 months ago when Zoom started unveiling some of their new AI features within the platform, such as the meeting summarization or whatever. There was a click-off data privacy switch so that you could actually not have your data involved in their newest updates or whatever. But I mean, think about it. Like, how many times and in how many different scenarios have you talked in Zoom meetings, whether about something serious or within the first 5 minutes when nobody's joined yet and you're kind of just like shooting around with your friends, just kind of talking some nonsense or whatever. And the amount of sheer data that they have on you, not only talking, but also for people that are not aware of this, it's very, very easy for companies like Synthesia and HeyGen to replicate the voice and to replicate the mouth. So lip syncing is pretty standard for most human beings. However, the hand motions, which I think is the most interesting aspect that still hasn't been brought up yet as well within these huge companies. But how many times have I done this hand motion for when I was saying something informative? Or how many times have I done, I imagine that you guys get the point. But yeah, the sheer amount of data that they have from these conversations is absolutely wild. And I am a little bit worried because, I mean, one of the biggest things that I'm sure you're going to bring up as well is these AI deepfakes. This is a huge, huge industry that has a very, very negative toll on society and humanity as a whole. And I think it's really, really going to be interesting seeing how they play this out. I know for companies like Synthesia and HeyGen, you do have to sign a series of documents so that you can use and create even videos of just yourself. But I'm really, really interested and curious. Also, on the same side, is it going to be something like Microsoft 365 or Copilot to where it's built into your computer or your Microsoft platform? Or is it going to be something that you kind of have to opt into as well? So really, really interesting stuff. There's too many topics that we could talk about here, Jade.
So crazy. Okay, well, I want to cover or discuss the deepfake thing, but then I think I know where they're going to need it. Well, I know where they're going to have to get the data set for this in order for it to be possible. And then I have some insane predictions for what this is going to look like in the future. But the first thing is, here's a direct quote from them. They said, "We continue to review and add safeguards as needed, and we'll add safeguards as needed in the future. We employ technology to make it obvious when a clip is generated with an avatar and to help ensure the integrity of avatar generated content." So they're trying to make sure for deepfakes, like they have watermarks. They're trying to make this obvious that it's not an actual person. So we'll see how that rolls out, but I'm sure this is going to be something they got to grapple with. But it seems like something they're taking seriously, right? It's not like some issue that's going to blindside them. I think they're gonna solve this probably just with watermarks or other things. Okay, where they're going to get the data, right? Because if this thing's actually going to answer phone calls and emails and go to meetings for you, it's gonna, like, the data set, you're going to have to opt in essentially for this thing to be able to read your entire email inbox. And if you think about it, you made a great point. When you hop on a Zoom call and you're chatting, they need all of that data about who said what first of all, they can use it to train it to make your model more like you, but it actually can be taking like information in from your Zoom calls, right? So like if it records your last 1 year of Zoom calls, it pretty much knows every project you've been working on. It knows how you work on things. It knows how you structure and organize things. Like that can build up a really powerful persona. And then if you give it access to all your emails, it's going to know all of the projects you're doing at work, how you respond to things, probably what your boss has said about things. You could probably give it some sort of company documents and stuff, but honestly, based off of your emails and your Zoom calls, especially for companies that work remote, so most of their Zoom calls, it's going to know pretty much everything it needs to about your company or whatever you're working on. Now, will it be able to come up with new, novel, creative ideas? I don't think so. And so here's an interesting thought. I love your take on this because, I don't know, this is just a novel thought, but like you imagine everyone's got their AI avatar. Okay, so there's like a meeting in the marketing department or in the research department, in the education department, whatever. Okay, I'm super busy. I'm going to send my AI avatar to go, talk for me and take some notes and whatever. Okay, so pretty much everyone gets sick of having everyone else's AI avatars in there that they're talking to. So everyone sends their AI avatars in. We're all just sitting here working and our AI avatars are off having the meetings and they come back with like the notes of everything we need to work on, right? So like your manager or your boss is going to come up with a directive that they want the company to work on. And then everyone's going to send their AI avatars to like go do the meetings about that project and then just report back to you with like the deliverables. And maybe you have other agents that help you accomplish those deliverables. That's a fascinating concept. But yeah, do you think will become a reality?
I think, to be completely honest, I think it already is a reality. I hopped into a Zoom call the other day, not with AI avatars, but with AI note takers. And there was literally like 45 different note takers from all the people that were in the meeting or whatever that were clouding up. Like it was really, really laggy and slow. And then on a second thought as well, when I was in university, that's when some of these AI note takers started coming out. And I noticed that there was quite an upshift in there, an upshift in the amount of people that would say, hey guys, like I'm just gonna be like 30 minutes late or whatever, and then just wouldn't show. Or they'd say like, oh guys, I'm not feeling so well today. Do you think I could just send in my meeting note taker, and then just didn't show? I've already seen how that's just kind of happening more and more and more. So I would imagine that But the human brain is a cognitive miser. We try to conserve as much of our intelligence as possible and as much of our energy as possible. So when these tools come out to make your lives easier and also lazier as well, I feel like it's just it's a due amount of time before people can start using that.
Yeah, 100%.